Hi everybody, it's Tarkon again, and I'm back to do a really quick video for you guys, in which I'm going to be discussing briefly a part of a book that I'm actually rereading right now, which I read quite a while back. I actually discovered it maybe a year or two ago, and it's called 𝗙𝗂𝗿 by Pam Grout, G-R-O-U-T. I put a link to the book down below, and be aware that it is an affiliate link, so if you buy it through the link, then I get a little commission. But I have to disclose that for you guys, and in the interest of full disclosure. Actually, this book, if you haven't heard of it or haven't read it or anything, this is kind of a book it's a fun book because it's a set of experiments that she has sort of created for the purposes of proving to people who are still skeptical or doubtful about their ability to attract or to manifest things using the law of attraction. That basically help to prove. They're like little fun experiments that you can do that help to sort of cement your faith in your ability to manifest, right? Isn't that what we all want? You know, I know one of the things I want more faith in my life. You know, I have faith to a point, and I've actually done a number of these experiments to great success. And every now and then, every few months, I like to take this book out again, and I like to go over them again and just see. It's kind of fun because I don't get too specific with any of it. All right, I sort of I love one of them, which is, I think that's the one I'm actually going to discuss today, which she calls the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 principle, which I think she took that name from the Big Lebowski, the dude, the main character, and that was a famous line of his, the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. You know, I remember when I did these experiments, when I first read the book, and then again subsequently, you know, I just kind of was not very specific about what I wanted the results to be, or about anything specific that I was trying to manifest into my life at that time. But I just decided to have fun with it, and I recommend that if you get the book and you decide to do these experiments, especially this first one I'm going to cover. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I actually wanted to dive in a little bit into this first one. You know, that you do the same, that you just kind of be playful with it, because a lot of this is, you know, we get so serious about this stuff sometimes. I know I have in the past, and I have to keep reminding myself that this is supposed to be fun, right? Even Abraham Hicks says, have fun with this, be easy about it, right? So this is a great little book that kind of helps remind you of that, and kind of helps you be playful. So these are experiments, but I like to call them games. You know, I like the idea of playing a game with the universe. Let's see what you can bring me. You know, let's see what's going on here. There is also another book that she did a follow-up book called I'm blanking on my schooling right now. 𝗏⁵. What's the actual term for that? Anyway, 𝗏⁵ with more experiments and games that you can play. So that's a good one. I'll put the link to that down below in the description as well, so that you can go check those out if you want. They're also available on Kindle. I have mine on my Kindle here. This first one is a fun one, and it's actually the one that I wanted to discuss briefly in this video. And I'm going to read, not the whole chapter, but I'll read some passages. This is experiment number 1. She calls it the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 principle. And the idea here is that there is an invisible energy force or field of infinite possibilities. And there's a little quote here by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, PhD, Cuban-born author and teacher of energy medicine. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. I guess it's Spanish, so I would say ภิoldo. Everything else is waiting for eternity, and the shamans are saying, how about tonight? I guess that's us. We're always waiting for eternity. We're waiting for eternity. But those who understand these principles are saying, how about tonight? Because they know they don't have to wait for eternity, right? That's how I interpret that anyway. So she goes into the premise for this experiment. And briefly she says, this experiment will prove to you once and for all that there is a loving, abundant, totally hip force in the universe. Some call it God. You can call it prana, the all there is, or Cosmo Kramer, for all I care. She's kind of funny woman. The problem up until now is we've had to take this force on faith. We weren't allowed to see it or touch it, but we've sure been asked to do lots of things in its name, like tithe and meditate, put ashes on our head. I much prefer the idea of an energy force that moves on two-way streets. Does give and take ring any bells? In this experiment, we're going to let the 𝗑𝗄, which is the force, she explains it early in the book, and I can't remember what it is, but it's a force of infinite possibilities. I guess she refers to it as 𝗑𝗄 throughout the book. We're going to let the 𝗑𝗄 know that it's now or never. We are so over-believing in something that gets its jollies playing hide and seek. We want irrefutable proof, and we want it now. She gets a little insistent about these things, but remember, this is playful too. Just remember to be playful about it. You know those four initials, ASAP. Well, those are the ones we're shooting for. We're going to give the 𝗑𝗄 exactly 48 hours to give us a sign. Just replace 𝗑𝗄 for universe, the universe. 48 hours to give us a sign, a clear sign, a sign that cannot be written off. Neon would work, she says. So, she continues, for those who want to wait for the pearly gates, go right ahead. It's like a modern day person refusing to use electricity. All you have to do is access electricity. All you have to do to access electricity is find an outlet. Plug in an electronic device or appliance. Voila. You get all sorts of cool stuff. So, anyway, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because she gets into a whole setup about this, and there's a whole section on anecdotal evidence, all right, where she talks about this, talks a little bit more about why she called it the dude, and from the Big Lebowski, some version of the dude exists in every culture that has ever existed. Even physicists, whose sole line of work is studying the properties and interactions of matter and energy, know about the invisible force. Most of them do not call it God. Albert Einstein, for example, claimed no belief in the traditional God, but he sure as heck knew there was something a whole lot juicier out there in the cosmos. So that section kind of goes through that, and actually she goes into this pretty deeply until we start getting to the actual meat of the experiment, where she says, see, this is actually still the premise part. So we talk about the method now, right? She skips to the method of the 𝗪𝗏 experiment, or game, as I like to call it. In this experiment, you're going to devote 48 hours to looking for evidence of this all-knowing, all-perfect 𝗑𝗄, or universe. Call it God if that feels more comfortable. Luckily, the 𝗑𝗄 exists every single place you could ever think to look. To up the stakes, you're going to ask the 𝗑𝗄 for a blessing, or what I call an unexpected gift. This is the fun part, right? This is the experiment. And I remember when I did this, the first time I did it, I think, I journaled about it at the time. I'd have to dig it up. But I think the first time I got some really good news that came out of the blue, and it came through somebody I hadn't seen in a while, and I ran into that night of the day that I had decided to do this. I was very methodical about it. I wrote it all down, and I wanted an unexpected gift, and it came to me in the form of some very good news that I had been waiting to hear at that time. So I remember I was shocked. I thought, holy shit, this is working. And the other couple times I did it, something very similar happened. So the beauty of this, for me at least, is to not be the part that's about not being specific. That's what makes it fun and makes it a fun game for me. So you have specific things in mind that you want to do and want to manifest. I understand. But just for the sake of playing this game, and for the sake of kind of learning to be easy about it, just try not to be specific about what you want this gift to be, right? Let the universe surprise you. You know, the big part of the fun of life is to just let yourself be surprised somehow. All right, I like that. So anyway, you're going to give it 48 hours to send you a gift you wouldn't normally receive. A surprise check in the mail, a card from an old friend, something that is truly unexpected. You don't get to specify the blessing. So she does actually say, don't specify the blessing. That comes later in experiment 4, she says. But you do need to give a clearly defined request and a concrete deadline, in this case 48 hours, right? And as always, it helps to ask for help in recognizing your gift. So that's an interesting little part there. People worry about, well, I asked for a sign, but what if it's not the sign? So make it very clear would be part of the request, right? She goes on to talk about her friends who've tried this and what their results were. So she continues, take note of how you feel about asking the energy field for a blessing. So this is very important. Do you feel a bit antsy? Wonder if you're being selfish? Doubt whether it's appropriate to ask for something good? This feeling provides telling insight. Maybe you don't believe you deserve a gift. That's a big thing, right? I feel like that in life still. And the deeper we dive into this practice, the more that stuff comes up. There's very deeply ingrained feelings that a lot of us carry around, if not most of us, about being deserving. And that's a big one for a lot of people, especially when it comes to gifts of money and even relationships. A lot of us don't feel we're deserving, right? Maybe you don't believe you deserve a gift. That thought sends signals to the energy field and affects its resonance. Perhaps you think it's only appropriate to ask for something you need. This is about asking for something you want, something you desire. That signal, too, is being radioed to the energy field. Excuse me. To do this experiment properly, you have to set aside skepticism. Not forever, just for 48 short hours. Isn't that interesting? So I remember when I first did this too, that was a big thing that helped me, because it was asking me, just do it for 48 hours, just for 48 hours, put aside your doubts and your skepticism. And I thought, well, can I do that? If I can't even do it for 2 days, then, I got a lot of work to do, right? But having that limit on it for me was very, that was important. So that helped me. I remember that helped me be successful with this experiment. All you have to do is spend 2 measly days expecting to see proof. Expect to see the dude in living color. Expect it with your whole heart. Expect it with every ounce of your soul. Like any good hypothesis, this one is falsifiable. If you don't hear from the FP in 48 hours, feel free to write it off. That's another thing. She makes it okay to say, all this is bullshit. Right? So, here's what you do. Number 1, pick a time to start the experiment. Now usually works for me, she says. 2, jot down the time and the date. So at the moment that you're writing this down, the exact time and date, because you're going to give it 48 hours from that moment. Number 3, ask the FP or universe to make its presence known. Ask for a blessing. If you like, repeat the intention or approach listed on the following lab report sheet. So in the book, she has a little lab report sheet that you can choose to fill out or copy into your journal or whatever, right? Or you make up your own. So, very briefly, to review, the principle is the dude abides principle. The theory is there is an invisible energy force or field of infinite possibilities, and it's yours for the asking. The question that we want answered with this experiment is, does the FP exist? Does the universe exist? In other words, is law of attraction real? The hypothesis, if there's a 24/7 energy force equally available to everyone, I can access it at any time simply by paying attention. Furthermore, if I ask the force for a blessing, giving it a specific time frame and clear instructions, it'll send me a gift and say, my pleasure. The time required for this is 48 hours. You write down your date, today's date, the time you're starting the experiment, and your deadline for receiving the gift. So 48 hours from the moment that you start this experiment. The approach, and she's addressing the FP, or the universe. She says, I hate to break it to you, FP, but folks are starting to talk. They're starting to wonder, is this guy for real? I mean, really, like, it'd be so much skin off your chin to come down here and call off this crazy hide-and-seek thing you've been playing. I'm giving you exactly 48 hours to make your presence known. I want a thumbs up, a clear sign, something that cannot be written off as coincidence. And then you keep notes, and then you observe, right? What you're doing is you're, I mean, in my estimation anyway, and when I was doing this experiment, is that you're giving yourself a permission slip. And if you guys are aware of 𝗙𝗪, which 𝗙𝗪 is an entity much like Abraham, channeled by a man called 𝗙𝗰𝗲𝗄𝗍. You can find videos here on YouTube. 𝗙𝗪 says one of those things he talks a lot about, permission slips, right? In other words, you sort of give yourself permission to believe in something, or to want something, or to feel deserving of something, right? And we do this in all sorts of forms. I can't think of any specific examples right now, except for this experiment. In this case, doing this experiment is a form of giving yourself a permission slip. Let's say giving your sort of ego monkey mind a permission slip to put aside its skepticism and its doubt and its feeling of undeservedness for just 48 hours, right? That's it. That's all it is. It's 48 hours. That's your 48-hour permission slip to create something cool. And because you're not being specific at this point, at least at this point in the book, you're not being specific, it sort of takes away the pressure, right? Because you're being playful about it now, and you're giving yourself the permission to put aside your lack of faith and your skepticism and your doubt and your fears, and just to say, let's see what happens. Right, and that's something I really loved about this book and this experiment in particular. And I think there's a total of 9 or something like that in the book altogether, and then there's another set of 9 in the next book, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. I'm actually rereading it now, and I'm redoing them now myself. I think it's been a year or more, but I like to pick it up about once a year and go through it again, because I think it's just a fun thing to do. And she's very humorous in the book. She has a very easy, approachable writing style, which I like too. It's very accessible. So anyway, this was going to be a short video, 18 minutes. Okay. I end up rambling still, but I wanted to share this with you guys and share the book with you guys. There's actually, I think I did write a blog post about it a while back too, so I'll link to that as well. I'm actually hoping to work more on the blog in future, but I kind of want to, I'm doing other things right now too that are unrelated to all this, but I also kind of want the channel to grow, and I want the blog to just sort of be a complement to the YouTube channel. I don't know, my voice is a little froggy. I'm still sort of having this. We're having it's like a mix of allergy and kind of a cold, because we've been having that April weather that we have around here, which is just up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's been doing a number on my system. Yeah, so I want you to try the Dude Abides principle experiment or game that's laid out here in Pam Grout's book 𝗙់_. And like I said, I'm going to link to it and the other book down below, and to the blog post that I wrote about it. And you guys should try this experiment. Pick up a copy of the book. If you use the link, then I get a commission. It's an affiliate link, so full disclosure, and I'll put that again in the description so that I have all my bases covered. Yeah, I hope it works out for you guys. And if you are watching this and you like it, hit like, and please subscribe. And also, if you try the experiment, in the next 48 hours or 48 hours from wherever you watch this video or decide to sit down and do the experiment, then please comment with your results. I would love to know what kind of results you have. I actually want people watching to comment. I realize the channel is just getting started. I don't really have much viewership at the moment, but whenever you're watching it, I want you to comment, please, and let me know, let everybody know how it worked out for you, and what did you come up with, or what did the FP come up with, right? Let's have some fun with this. All right, I hope everybody has a great week, rest of the week, and it's been fun. Till next time, take